Well, hello and welcome to the awesome Naseby Reservoir. And to my right hand side is Trakker's casting supremo, Ant Corbett. And the idea of this session is really going to be, does distance matter? Anything I normally do is 100 yards and closer, and anything you do is normally 100 yards and way beyond, isn't it, mate?
Most of the time.
So Ant is, as I said, a caster with over 270 yards casted, recorded in his bag, whereas I probably got about 2.7 yards in my bag. But the whole point of this is going to be the theory of, does it matter if you go further on these long range venues, but also, mate, to test out these propel rods?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's the perfect range to do it. Big 90-acre pit. If you can't test them in this place, you can't test them anywhere, can you?
And that is the beautiful thing with Naseby. As I said, it's under sort of new management at the moment, done a load of work, but what remains is a lot of water that we cannot get interfered with. So without further ado, let's get these rods out, mate, and see, well, I want to see just how far this man can cast.
So it's spot finding time. We're going to have a little play around. I think we're going to go for around the 140 to 160 range. It's good being able to have that extra sort of casting ability in your locker, so you can go a little bit further than everybody else, which is, I think that's what the plan's going to be. And the usual sort of range everybody goes in is around the maybe 120 mark. We're going to push that a little bit further, see if it makes a difference. I think John's going to go a little bit shorter. We're going to compare the two and see how they work. We'll have a little bit of a play, a bit of a cast around, see if we can find some spots. I don't think there's too many spots out there. I think it's all pretty barren, to be fair, but we'll have a little chuck around, see what we can find and see how we get on. See where we are there. Not measured it out yet, but I reckon that's probably around the 150 yard mark. Now personally I think that might be, well, it's a comfortable range for me to fish at, and I think it'll be an uncomfortable range for your average angler to come on here. So because there's not many features on the lake, I think the bait then becomes a feature. So being able to cast a long way at range, bait accurately as well, becomes a big advantage. So I'm going to clip it up now to, I'll put it 140, 150 yard. I'll do 150, I think that's a happy medium. It's comfortable range for me to spot at accurately and effectively, even if the wind picks up and changes. I think we've got a bit of a crosswind at the moment. Tomorrow it's changing a little bit going off our back, which will be even easier. But if I can do it today, when the wind's not in my favour, tomorrow will be a breeze. So we'll clip her up at 150 and see where we're at. Right, so I think we've sorted with the spots. What we're going to do, there's a bit of a crosswind today, 20 mile an hour on and off in gusts. It's not, although we can do those, long range, 180 yards if we need to, it's not effective fishing for me. I'd rather fish, I still want to be fishing further than your average angler that's on here, but I want to be fishing effectively, and going stupid distances is just not going to work for us. So we're going to fish, I say stupid, 150 is still a long way. It is longer than your average angler, but I can fish that effectively, 3 on a spot, and bait accurately. So we're going to do that today, see how we get on. Tomorrow the weather's due to change. If we're unsuccessful at those kind of ranges, then I've got the option to push a little bit further if I need to. We can go crazy, try 180, 200 if need be. We'll just have a bit of a play. Obviously we're here to test the rods. We've got the rods for the job. So we will see how we get on today and then take it from there.
Right, so as behind the camera, Ant smacks spoms like 150 plus yards. As I said, my intention with this session is to fish what I would call my comfortable range. So I've wrapped up at 100 yards, and I said, to be honest, that to me is a 99.9% person achievable distance. Like what Ant's doing, just watching him is absolutely sublime. But I'm going to play the role of Mr. Average Angler. 100 yards, and I said from what I know of this venue, anywhere from 20 to 25 wraps is generally the customer base sort of range. But we're going to do exactly the same. I've got 3 rods out, I'm going to fish 3 rods, put a load of bait over the top, and the whole point of this is just to see if it does make a big difference. But the beauty is we're using the new Propel rods. Pretty much anything you can do, those rods can do. And that's what Ant, who's cast over 270 yards, said, is these rods do everything they're meant to do. So without further ado, I'm going to whip this 3rd rod out and then start the boring task of basically whacking a whole bucket of bait out. And then we will still see what happens. But for now, let's get the 3rd rod out. Right then, mate, that is the rods and the pile of bait out, mate.
Yep.
But what an awesome little venue, isn't it?
Oh, it's mega. First time down here, similar to what I expected. A big, massive open reservoir, a little bit lower than I thought it was going to be. I was looking to be sat on those nice boards, bivvy pegs.
Yeah, no, James has done a load of work since they've taken it over. All the all the boardings, that walk was just apparently just a mud track.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit of a luxury to be able to come out there. But unfortunately, the water level is still a little bit low. We are in the trenches, as it were. But fingers crossed for tonight. Is that one just shown over the spot? I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it, mate? Whilst we were spomming, we were having a little chat about essentially, because of the fact that I'm set 100 yards probably back from nearly a lot of the other rods, whether it's going to work, mate.
I know, it's going to be interesting. I mean, your sort of standard approach in any lake is to just go that little bit further than the angler next to you, just to give you that little bit of a chance. So the way we think it's going to go, is range going to beat the short spots? At the moment, we've got a chap fishing short range to the left. We've got an angler to our right who's probably 100 yards, so you are essentially cut off in the middle of us two.
Yeah, as I said, the 100 yards is, but it's out 100 yards from a point, isn't it? So,
yeah.
But it'll be interesting. It's whether the fish think that there's never been food that far, so why on earth is there food? Or are they going to be really attracted to it, thinking it's going to be safe food that's random there? It's going to be interesting. So as the sun sets behind me, we have a nice little curry, mate, and we will see exactly what happens with these these 6 rods. And yeah, just keep you up to date, everything that's going on, and just really monitor to see if range is that big positive.
Finally off the mark, early hours of this morning, around 4:30. Not the biggest in the lake, but it certainly is welcome. For me, it's just a great confidence booster, knowing that that spot's working out there at range. I'm fishing effectively over the bait. So yeah, great confidence booster. Bit of a quiet night overall. It was the only one, to be fair. But we got the rod straight back out, topped up with a little bit more bait. Yeah, see if we can pick a few more up today. It's not quite renowned for day bites at the minute. I think most of the fish are coming at night time, so we'll see if we can pick a few off in the day. But I think it's going to be geared up for later on tonight. Happy days. That was a bit of an unexpected bite. Just sat down, had a nice bacon and black pudding barm, bap, whatever you want to call it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the rod's just peeled off. We wasn't really expecting any bites in the day. Apparently it's all been night bites, but yeah, I'll take a day bite. It's a bit of me. It's not all about getting up in the middle of the night, is it? Getting your odds. Feels a lot better than my last fish anyway. That's a good sign. It's actually got a bit of weight to it. But it's just nice to be off the mark in the daytime where you can actually see what's going on and not fall over in the middle of the night or the middle of the morning, stumble over my waders and bend my bivvy pole. It's only the first time you're using it, so you got to christen it one way, haven't you? He's trying not to laugh behind the camera there, just so you know. So the one thing I do like about these rods is, yeah, it is a pokey old bit of kit for long distance, but under the rod tip they do have a nice soft playing action. It is a perfect compromise for me of a long range rod and a fish playing rod. There's nothing worse than when you got the power in the rod, but there's no flex. I mean, you can see the tip there as it is now, it's bending over nice. It's not pulling too hard either, to be fair, and it's still got that nice playing action. You know what this is on as well, don't you? The secret wafter hook baits. I think it is there. I think it's that washed out pink wafter. Lovely job. Fish number 2. Let's keep them coming. Have it then, the second one so far. Like I say, it's nice to get one in the day considering we was told it was mainly night bites, so it's more than welcome. But what we're going to do is slip this one back and I'm going to talk you through the hardware that I use for reaching those long range distances. Right, so a quick run through of the hardware and kit that I'm using on this session. Now firstly, most importantly, for long range fishing, without a doubt, the rod is the most important part of it. Now today we've got the 13 foot 3 3/4 propel rod. Like I said before, it is a pokey rod, but it is a soft in the action tip. It's great for playing fish with that solid backbone to enable it to get the rod out there. Now the reel that we're using, standard big pit reel, sort of complements any long distance rod really. The reel never really is a big issue for me. As long as it's got a big pit, good line lay, that's more than enough for me. Like I say, the rod's the most important thing. So then we go down to the line. I use a 0.30mm diameter line. That's about as thin as I'd ever go really when it comes to long range fishing. It's thin enough to give you the range, but it's also got enough abrasion resistance to, you know, prevent any cut-offs in the margins or if you've got any snags. I always like to say, use the thickest line you can in order to land the fish. You need to make it safe. It's pointless just using thin line for the sake of it. Obviously today we're doing a bit of a demo on how far the rods can cast, so we've gone for the 0.30, enable us to get that distance. But if I was fishing 140 normally, you know, I wouldn't mind going up to like a 0.35, because I can reach those distances. It'd be better for me to do it, it'd be safer for the fish, and obviously if you can do it, then why not? So then going down to the rig section, lead clips. I'm a big fan of lead clips. Running as well, I feel it's a little bit more difficult for the fish to deal with. The rig, with casting at range, I like to use stiff materials. Now these new fluoro booms, Ronnie style, are a godsend for me. Right up my street, perfect sort of thing for what I like to use. They don't tangle, nice, quick and easy to change the hook, great hook holes. It's a win-win for me. Very, very rarely, I could probably count on one hand how many times I've had these tangle on me. So for range fishing, they're right up my street. And yeah, and a braided leader obviously to take the force of the cast. And that's about it really. It's just a case of practicing that technique and getting it out there. So following on from the hardware that we use, just a quick run through about the bait. Now, the bait can also make a massive difference on how far you can cast your spoms. On Naseby, there is a boilie end pellet rule only, so you can't have all the particles and the small bits to fill a spom. So what I like to do is, especially using the pure flow system, I like to fill the bucket with water, soak the pellets a little bit. I don't want them too damp and mushy so it goes to like a bit of a paste, so it's sinking through the water really slow. I still want them to sink, and they need a little bit of weight behind them. But just giving that little bit of extra weight in the pellet, the water, does give that extra weight in the spom. Obviously the boil is soaking the water as well. And when you're fishing at distances like 140 yards plus, it makes a massive difference on loading that spom and helping compress the rod.
Well, as we head into the first full 24 hours, it appears that the things that we spoke about yesterday do indeed matter. Now, unbelievably, I was here a few weeks ago, as I said at the start of the film, and the fish were really compacted out into that middle bowl section. You could see a lot of fish showing, whereas this session, a couple of weeks down the line, really see next to nothing showing. But it proves that they are still out there, because obviously Ant's only had 2, which for Naseby isn't an awful lot, but it beats my 0. So the point is sort of proving itself that if those fish are out there, getting closer to them is going to sort of give you that chance really of catching more. But I am still optimistic. There is a reason that fish get caught here every single time between 25 and 30 wraps. Because the fish know that their bait is going to be there. And this is really one of the really good things that last night whilst having a curry we were chatting about, is there's loads of things to think about. Are they nervous because there's bait in a new place? Are they excited because they've never seen bait out there? You know, there's a load of sort of variables that we'll never ever know, but it's nice to have a little chat over a beer and a curry about. But for now, what I'm going to do is try and stimulate a bite by putting a little bit more bait out. Now, we have alluded to this, that it does seem to be night bites predominantly, which is interesting and unbelievable, because why are those fish only feeding in the night? And it's not just like 8, 9 o'clock at night, it's 1s, 2s o'clock, early morning, sort of that just in between sort of night and day. But I'm going to see if I can stimulate a bite with another load of bait. It has worked previously on trips recently, so if nothing else works, chuck a load more bait at the situation and see if that does work. But yeah, it's been really interesting to sort of talking to Ant, his thoughts and his feelings about it, but also to watch the man compress the rod. Like, it's absolutely unbelievable. But for now, idea, throw a load more bait at the situation.
Now we're cooking. Another day bite, a little bit of me. The more of these we have, hopefully the less night ones we have. Well, no, it's a mega sign. The sun's got up in the air. I don't know whether it switched them on a little bit. We've still not seen them show, to be fair, have we? There's not much happening. It's pretty bleak all around, so it's a very welcoming bite for what's an unexpected sort of time. It's just nice to be amongst them, mate. It shows that it's working. We're fishing at range. It's paying off. Unfortunately, John's not had any at the minute, but maybe it is because of the range. We don't know at the minute. We've not really had a chance to properly figure out exactly what's going on. But I think a good sit down tonight, we'll discuss between us what's happening, our thoughts on the situation and how we think the session's going to progress. But overall it's working. We're getting amongst them, so that's a good thing. Oh yeah, here we go. The old pink pop-up strikes again. Well, there she is, the third one. This one taken on a fluoro pink pop-up. They're like brand new pennies, aren't they? There's not a mark on them. Not the biggest in the lake, but certainly more than welcome. And again, in the daytime, which is what we want. So yeah, let's get this one back. Right, so now we've got the rods back out on the spots, all set for the night, topped up with some bait. John, bless him, has stuck to his spots all day. He's kept the bait super accurate. He's got 3 tight on a spot. Unfortunately, it's not happened for him as of yet, but we do think it's going to change tonight. So basically, give you an update on what's happened. I've been catching them at range. We've only had 3, to be fair. It's not been the best of sessions. It has been a bit bleak. I think a lot of the fish have been further down the side of the lake. But yeah, we've had 3. Early morning. Not much has happened throughout the middle of the day, but like I said, we've got everything ready for tonight. But we do think it's going to change. The angler to our right has now gone, and the angler to our left has now gone. So now it's going to be a case of what path are those fish going to take. We seem to think John was being cut off by the angler to the right, not coming in, approaching his bait. I suppose once they got to that bait, there's no need for them to come any further. They've got the feed, then if they've got no reason to move, then they're not going to come across. But I think tonight will be a different story. It will be interesting to see this is a true test, I suppose, of long versus short range. I would say short range, a lot of 100 yards is not short range, but you know what I mean, 150 yards compared to 100. It will be interesting to see. But yeah, rods are out, bait's out. Let's see what happens throughout the night.
Well, there we are, an early morning Naseby brute. Certainly not the biggest in the lake, and we really have thought through some tough conditions. The mist came in thick very, very early last night, and to be honest, I can probably count on one hand how many carp I've caught in the mist. But with those rods coming away from the right hand side, it has obviously allowed at least one fish to trawl into that closer set of rods. I'm going to slip this one back, take a few photos just for the thumbnail more than anything else, slip her back, and then we are going to pack up and get on our tails. But before we go, me and Ant will just catch up, really sort of giving our ideas and thoughts about exactly how this session went. But for now, this Naseby one saves a blank and sort of proves that you can still catch them on short rods. Right then, as the saying goes, all good things must come to an end, and even some decidedly average things, mate. It's been a tough old slog, isn't it?
It certainly has, mate. It's certainly not the amount of fish we was expecting. But I think in terms of the video, long versus short, I think we have achieved something.
Yeah, definitely, as I said, even though it was just the one fish, there's not a lot else being out. We haven't seen any lights. I've just checked at the night footage. No one over the other side's lights were on. And as we said, that mist has come down massively. But to pinch one, and we're going to call it the biggest one, to be honest. I'm not going to have any other way. That was the biggest of the trip. But it does prove that you can still catch them short. Yeah. But I just want to say a huge thanks, Ant. Behind the scenes, we have been playing around with these rods, and I've achieved something I didn't think I'd ever achieve with Ant's guidance, so that's awesome. But yeah, mate, what do you reckon? Obviously, this was about the rods. Yeah. A very quick insight into those rods, mate.
Mate, credit where credit's due. You've seen what they've done on this session. You know, if you've got the ability to cast them, obviously, they don't come pre-compressed, no. Unfortunately. I wish they did. But yeah, they have the backbone, they have the soft tip for the playing action. From a long distance rod, for me personally, there's nothing more you can ask for. You know, they've got the aesthetics of them, they've got the nice type-forge guides on them. They're a brilliant rod for me, I love them. Yeah,
and my little 12-footers I absolutely love. However, having to go at Ant's 13s might have swayed me for my anything longer to go at those 13s. Yeah. But from us, and a very misty Naseby, thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next adventure.